I'm Jeff and I'm an alcoholic. Um, Thank you for asking us to be of service. This has been a fun month for me personally to be involved in this. My sobriety date is August 18th of 2015. I have a sponsor. He knows he's my sponsor because I have minute problems that I like to blow up in my head, and then I have to call him. He has to remind me that you're an alcoholic, dude. Just go out and help somebody. Um, I'm of service not only to PlayPaw, which is Placer County Young People's down here in California, but also to my home group, which is the Quarter Till Book Study. Um, I work with other men in this program, and I do what I need to do on a daily basis, right? I try to do it to the best of my ability. Sometimes I fall short of what I think that is, um, but the most important thing is I haven't taken a drink since that day. So what I was like, what happened, and what I'm like now. I don't like to talk too much about my drunko log. Whenever I am sharing in this capacity, I always try to limit what got me here and a lot about what keeps me here, because I feel like that's the important part of what keeps me here, right? But it is very important to how I got here. So for me, I grew up in a very loving and supported household that would have been a pretty serene household if it wasn't for one selfish, self-centered alcoholic that needed things his way all the time. I ran through and destroyed my parents and my family's idea of what a family and a son was going to be. For me, my drinking started in in eighth grade. I'm bad with ages, but eighth grade, and I was raised Irish Catholic, right? So alcohol wasn't unheard of in my household. It was absolutely available, and it absolutely wasn't like it wasn't demonized or anything like that. But it definitely was available. So I had sips before then, but the first time I decided to go out with my friends and actually get drunk, I blacked out, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't like to use the term uncomfortable in my skin because I'm in eighth grade and everybody's uncomfortable in their skin at eighth grade. But it silenced the voices in my head, right? I didn't care about what everyone thought about me. I didn't care about like how I looked or anything like that. I was able to just be, right? And getting to that blackout state, I just wasn't there. And for me, from very early on to the time I quit drinking, I just didn't want to be there, right? If I'm unconscious and I don't know what I'm doing, perfect. Like that's ultimate serenity to me. Um, so from that point on, it wasn't continuous at that point, but I knew somewhere like that was going to be a big part of my life was drinking and getting loaded. Again, I don't like to use the word experimenting because I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination. Anything that people put in front of me, I tried. Anything that got me further away from reality, I tried it. Right. I was the guy that if you offered me something, I'd take it and then ask you what's going to happen because I don't care what it's going to do to me. I have the general idea that it's going to get me farther away from reality. Throughout high school and stuff, I was exactly what the book talks about. I was an alcoholic leading a double life. If you ask teachers, coaches, parents, I was the good kid. I was the guy that was, playing a lot of sports, and I was part of student council. I was the good kid. I was the kid that you wanted your kid to hang out with. Little did they know, every single weekend I'm going out and getting loaded. Little did they know I'm supplying some of their children with drugs and alcohol. But that was my life, and whenever there was an instance where I thought people might have noticed me, I quickly tried to, manipulate and do everything I could to try to keep up that mask that I had on. For me, that was taken away when I went off to college. No one's checking up on you, and that's when my alcoholism really took off. It started to become not just a weekend thing, not just like a special, like not special occasion, but like it started to take precedent over everything else. I lost a scholarship opportunity because of that. I lost school because of that. I would rather go get loaded than do what I need to do, right? And it's the ultimate dilemma that an alcoholic has is like once we lose something because of our drinking, we have to drink to forget about the shame that we feel about losing that thing because of our drinking, and on and on and on it goes. And if you were to look at my alcoholic career, or whatever you want to call it, it was always just a wave of things, right? Like the book tells us, I can never control and enjoy my drinking. I can control until I want to enjoy again, right? I will control. I will try to keep my stuff together. I'm doing what I need to do just to kind of keep active. But then sooner or later, I want to enjoy again. I'm off to the races and I'm burning my life to the ground one more time. Quick story of how that looks for me. When I was 22, or 23, it was a President's Day weekend, and how my controlling my alcoholism looked was be super, super busy all the time. That's how it looked. I had 3 jobs and I was going to school full time. So I had no time to do anything. President's Day weekend was coming up and I didn't have any work. School was not happening that weekend. And I got out of school on Friday at about noon. And by Saturday, 3 a.m., I'm coming to at the Washoe County Jail, which is in Reno off of Par, if anyone ever has been to Nevada. And I'm coming to there. And I was told I was trying to fight bouncers, which wasn't the first time I tried to do that. But I ended up being in there. And that's how my alcoholism works for me. Once I start, I can't stop unless something physically removes me from that situation. Like once I decide that I'm going to go, I go. And there's nothing that can stop me. I wish I could tell you that was the bottom. I wish I could tell you that was it. But, that was President's Day of 2015. I had a couple more months of research to do. And those last few months were hell. They absolutely were. Because I wanted to stop, but I didn't know how. I remember like you could slap a lie detector on me early in the morning when I woke up or came to, and I would honestly want to stop. If you asked me like, do you want to stop this? I would say yes. And the lie detector wouldn't even move because I was telling the truth. I didn't know how to, though. I would go out into the real world, or I'd start feeling emotions. I would start getting shaky, or whatever the case may be, and I would go off one more time. The scary part is that in that time, I started realizing that, like, even though I want to, I can't. Like, there were some mornings where I'd be like, I need to stop this. And then the media voice would come in of like, but you're not going to. You can't. So it always confused me. Like, I'm kind of the black sheep of my family. Like I said, Irish Catholic, man, we know how to drink and get down and party, but they would go back to their normal lives, and they would go back to like doing what they were doing after a long weekend or whatever the case may be. And I never could do that. So it got to a point where I was staying with a buddy. I knew I was going to get kicked out pretty soon because I wasn't paying rent. So I was just trying to get the most out of it as I could, trying to avoid him as much as I could, keeping a roof over my head. And I was staring down all the pills I had left, a bottle of Captain, and I just wanted to be gone. I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to die. I've had attempted suicide before. I truly just wanted to end it. And I got a phone call, and it was from my brother, who me and him weren't on speaking terms at that point. And he said, I don't know, something, I need to call you, make sure you're all right. And I unloaded on him. And he said, go home, go to mom and dad's house and tell them what you're going through. And I'll never forget that night, because I went over there and my dad answered the door. And I'm the type, like a lot of us have, but for me, my story, like I always ran back to mom and dad, always. My mother was kind of the one that was always willing to cut me off. My dad was the enabler that wanted to let me in the house, right? Like that's how it went for me. And when my dad answered the door, I'll never forget that look that he gave me of just absolute, disappointment's like not even the right word. Just he was beaten, man. He was done. And I told him what was going on. He said, okay, wait out here. About 30 minutes later, he came out and said, you're going to stay in this room and we'll talk to you in the morning. And I've come to find out later, after I'd been sober for a while, that what he was doing that night was putting away all valuables in their household, making sure there was nothing of value around the house, because that's the kind of person I am when I'm out there running and gunning, because I need mine, and I don't care who I run through to do it. I heard something great in AA, and I haven't heard it in a while, but like if someone did the things that I did to my loved ones, I'd want to kill them. That simple. But for some reason, I can justify it for myself real quickly, especially when I'm out there running and gunning. So I was given the ultimatum that a lot of alcoholics and addicts are given: either go to rehab or you're cut off. And it gets hot in the summer in Nevada, so 30 days of air conditioning and food sounded good to me. So that's what I did. I went to a rehab. And if you didn't go to a rehab here, that's okay, right? I know plenty of people that have walked into the doors of Alcoholics Anonymous or joined a meeting on Alcoholics Anonymous on Zoom from day one and stayed sober, right? That's just my story. I went into a rehab. I didn't have any intention whatsoever of staying sober. Not at all. Like my whole thing, it tells us in the 12 and 12, and it was absolutely my thing of I'll manipulate, things will blow up, I'll backtrack, remanipulate, and do it again. Like that was kind of that ploy of going to rehab, getting some time under my belt, coming back, and hopefully everything will be okay and I can go back to doing what I was doing. Luckily, that wasn't the case. I entered into that rehab of August 11th of 2015, and that's not my sobriety date, because I'm an alcoholic and an addict, and I will find a way. I will always find a way. And that scared me. That absolutely scared me. I remember being in that rehab, and rehab drugs are never fun. I don't know if anyone in here has ever done those, but they're not fun because there's not more, and I always need more. Like there's not the supply I need, So that's how that looked, and that scared the living crap out of me, because in a place designed for me to stop, I couldn't do it. I didn't know how. Right. And as Bill says in his story, fear sobered me for a bit, and thank God it did, because after that I went to a sober living place, and that was the first time I was introduced to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's where I got a sponsor. I had no intention of actually doing the program or doing the steps, but however, what happened for me was I was feeling just as much pain and misery as I was out there by just being sober, because alcohol and drugs were my solution. And I'm a big believer that if we do not present the alcoholic with something better, they'll go and drink every single time. And luckily for me, I had a sponsor who showed me something better, because I told him exactly how I was feeling. And he said something very simple to me: do you want to not feel that way? That was it. you want to not feel that? Yeah, I don't want to feel this way anymore. So we went back to his house and we went over A, B, and C. A, that I'm alcoholic and I cannot manage my own life. B, that no human power can relieve my alcoholism. And C, God could and would if he were sought. And there's a line in the original manuscript. If you haven't read the original manuscript, I highly recommend reading that. There's a line right after that in the original manuscript. I've never heard why it got taken out, but it got taken out. If you are not convinced of these 3 points, either reread this book to this point or throw it away. Because those are steps 1 and 2. Those are the foundation that we are building on, right? I'm an alcoholic. I can't manage my own life. No human power can relieve my alcoholism, and God could and would if he were sought. You know, and I caught fire for this program after that. You know, I'm not going to get too much into my steps because everyone's version of the steps and their experience is going to be their experience. The one thing I can tell you is get with a sponsor and start working them. Period. Like it's just that simple. For me personally, I got my relief on step 4 and 5. I don't know when your relief's going to come. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that I'm living a life beyond my wildest dreams as a direct result of this program. And I'll wrap it up with this short story. About 3 years ago, my grandfather had fallen and he had blood on his brain. We didn't know if he was going to wake up. I'm not going to leave people in suspense. Unfortunately, he did pass a couple months after, but that day was a really, really rough day for me. I got a call. I answered, and I got told that, hey, he's in the hospital. We don't know if he's going to wake up. And he's kind of the matriarch of our family, or was the matriarch of my family. And so I went there, and the first call I made was to my sponsor, because that's what I was trained to do, and that's what I was told to do, right? So what I did was call my sponsor, and I told him, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I don't want to feel this either. And he said, you know what you don't get to do today? You don't get to run. You don't get to run today. Show up. Do whatever they need you to do. So I was Johnny on the spot once I got there. You know, my whole family's flying in. And so I'm driving from the hospital to the airport, picking people up, bringing them back, doing the whole deal. Boom, 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 boom. And at the end of the night, everyone's there. And the doctor said, we won't know anything until tomorrow morning. You guys need to go home and get some rest. My dad said, no, I can't leave. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to feel that. But you know what? I was able to be there. And I told my dad, no, you don't have to do this alone. So I got to stay there with him. And that's a direct result of this program. Because selfish, self-centered Jeff would maybe have shown up for a little bit, but I would have gone and numb myself. I didn't know how to be there for somebody, especially my family. I had no idea how to do that. But this program showed me how it is, right? And that's when I got a true spiritual experience that night, because I was okay. There was no fear. There was no worry. It was just, I was okay. Because there was something else in that room that night. And whether you want to call it higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, for me, I choose to call it God because that's what makes most sense to me. But something else was in that room that night that gave me peace and comfort and calm. The next day, I'm getting my 3-year chip at my home group. And the speaker that night, never met her before in my life. And I don't want to be there. And I just said something very like, I'm sitting there and I'm just in my head. And she goes, 2 years ago, my grandmother fell and had blood on her brain. I can't do that. I can't draw that up. Jeff can't control the shit to make that happen. I can't. She told me exactly how it was. And I'm sad to say that he passed, but I am so glad I was able to be there for the next 4 months that they needed me. Thank you for that. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. That's not Jeff. That's Alcoholics Anonymous working in my life. That's God working through me. I know I'm running short on time. So, if you're new in here, it's very simple. Trust God, clean house, help others. Do those three things to the best of your ability every single day. Don't worry about what the next right thing is. Do the next thing right in front of you. Just keep doing the next thing. Stop worrying about the future. Stop worrying about how you feel about it. Do the next thing in front of you. And I guarantee you a miracle. Thank you.